of confession. Say law of confession. Law of confession. All right, I had to go back up here first, and I went to find out what is a law. Because we know that there's laws, there's commandments, there's ordinances of God, so forth and so on. And we know there's ceremonial laws and religious laws, and then there's civil laws and criminal laws. We know these are laws. But let me talk about the law from a physical standpoint. A law is a principle. Now, a principle is a foundation of something, or the ground supporting system of something. A principle based on predictable circumstances of an act. A principle based on predictable circumstances of an act. It's a law is something that works the same way every time. It is something that is predictable. The law of gravity. Isaac Newton, or whoever it was that came up with the formula for being able to calculate how long it would take if you dropped a pebble weighing 1 pound out of a 15-story building, how long would it take it to hit the ground and what speed is going to hit at? I mean, they can calculate that. It'll work the same every time. That's a law. Principles. Predictable outcome. Got it? So, when I was in the military, I went into pilot training, and we went there, and all of us gathered there. I mean, all the guys who were new in the military, and we went to pilot training in San Antonio, Texas. And here we were, and they first took us through something called ground school. Now, in ground school, they were teaching us about flying. And see, Jesus was teaching and preaching. And preaching is designed to bring inspiration. But teaching is designed to bring understanding. Amen. And that's why the churches today, God has a real teaching spirit. We're teaching a lot. Why? Because we've been inspired. But now we need to learn something. So what happened was they were teaching us ground school how to fly. But they're teaching us about the airplane. That if you take an airplane, run it down a runway, pick up certain speed, then you got air coming over the wings. And that air coming over the wings creates a lift, a coefficient of lift, and it draws the airplane up, and this lift causes this airplane to fly, and it overcomes gravity. But I got to have some speed. So now I got understanding of this. Now understand, before we had that, some of the pilots, our first airplane that we were taught to fly was a little Cessna 172 with a single engine propeller in the front, and you're going out and you're going up and so forth, and then they'd do some things, and some of the guys would come down sick. Some of them would have come forth in the airplane. Y'all know what I mean, come forth? Spit up. So they'd give some of them a bag so that they wouldn't mess up the airplane and so forth. Wow. Now they're learning to fly. But see, at first they thought they were going to die because they had no understanding that if I keep this air flowing over this thing can't go down. Amen. They gave us understanding about it because it took away all the fear that it won't fly. Are y'all with me? So now I know that if I put the power to that rascal and I'm going down this runway, if I pick up a certain speed, I got my V speeds. If I pick up a certain speed, this thing gonna lift off. I don't care whether it's the size of a house or just a little Piper cup, it's going to take off. Got it? So now it's not amazing to me to see it fly. Come on now. But when some people see a big 747 out there taxiing, and then that thing take off, they say, Boy, that's amazing, isn't it? See, because they haven't understood the laws of flight. Now, let's put it in another setting. Here is Jesus. He's preaching on the shoreline, preaching about increase. And so now they're pushing on him, and he asked this man, Simon Peter, to use his boat. Now, Simon had been fishing how long? All night. So now he gave him use of his boat, and Simon got in there with him, pushed out a little from the shore. Jesus sat down and taught. Say, taught. Then he turned to Simon and said, launch out into the deep and let down your net for a catch. What did Simon do? He began to tell Jesus all the reasons why that was a foolish request. One, you don't fish in the daytime up in here because the fish will see the net and the schools of fish would run and so forth. And my family's been in the fishing business for 13 years and I'm a union man. All the reasons why I shouldn't fish. Then he said, nevertheless, come on, at thy word, I'm going to launch out. He launched out. They caught a net-breaking, boat-sinking load of fish. So many, they call it partners. Their boat began to sink. They caught so many. And then Peter came back in, and he was astonished at the catch. Now, why wasn't Jesus astonished? Because the law is predictable, that it will work the same every time. I don't care who works it. If you meet the biblical requirements of it, it'll do the same for you as it did for Peter, as it did for Jesus.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
Now this is going to clean your clock out, Jack. Totally predictable. Totally predictable. Confession is a law. You got to start with that, see? Because if you still think it's something that might happen and might not, How about when Jesus spoke to the tree? Here he was. He passed by this tree. He came to the tree to get some fruit, first of all. And he came to see if anything was on it. Nothing was on the tree. Just leaves. Like folk lives. Ain't nothing in there, just leaves, just blowing in the wind. So what we're going to fix that, though. We're going to fix it. Say, praise the Lord. So what happens? He goes, and he then saw the tree had no fruit on it. He said, no man eat fruit of you hereafter forever. And the disciples heard it. Now, it didn't say they overheard it. No, he's